breaking news coming in that's majorly important for India's aviation sector. IndiGo has signed a deal to buy 500 planes from Airbus. Vishnu is with us for more on that. And Vishnu, take us through this deal and its significance.
This is the largest single order in aviation history, is what we are led to believe. It's been announced. It is a larger order than the 470 aircraft deal recently announced by Air India. This has just been announced now, this deal, Airbus and IndiGo, at the Paris Air Show. I've just got the release from IndiGo, which says IndiGo is further defining its long-term future by placing a firm order. This is important. These are not options. This is a committed order, firm order for 500 Airbus A320 family aircraft. This will provide IndiGo a further steady stream of deliveries between 2030 and 2035. This 500 order is not only IndiGo's largest order, but also the largest ever single aircraft purchase by any airline with Airbus. The engine selection for this order will be done in due course, and so will the exact mix of A320 and A321 aircraft. And that's perhaps the reason why the value of this deal has not yet been announced. I'm going to go straight across to Vinamra Longani, who's been tracking this very closely through the day. Vinamra, is this not, at 500 aircraft, the biggest deal in aviation history, civil aviation history?
Thank you for having me on this show, Vishnu, and it most definitely is. It is the largest firm aircraft order placed by an airline ever in aviation history. So it's a momentous day for, of course, Airbus and IndiGo, but it also goes to show how much confidence, the IndiGo and Airbus, for that matter, has in the Indian market, despite the challenges.
No, so Vinamra, the order size, the deal value has not been announced. Is that surprising that they make the announcement without a deal value, or is it because engine selection has yet to be done?
That's probably one of the reasons. But you see, Vishnu, aircraft are never really sold on list price. So whenever the deal size it's the list price that's usually announced, and when you order as many as 500 aircraft, you get a substantial discount. So nobody actually knows at the end of the day how much these aircraft were actually for. So in my opinion, it's the number of aircraft that matters. And like I said, and at the cost of reiterating myself, 500 aircraft, biggest civil aviation deal for a commercial airline. It's fantastic. Great for India, great for everyone.
Vinamra, the recent Air India deal was for $70 billion. That was for 470 aircraft. The reason you cannot even get a guesstimate happening is because that was for a different class of aircraft. What IndiGo is doing is A320 and A321. So it is quite possible that the value of the deal, when it actually comes down, would be substantially less than the 70 billion which Air India has announced, because the type of aircraft are very different.
That's true. And more importantly, you see, there were a whole bunch of wide-body aircraft which cost substantially more as part of the commitments made by Air India. So you see, these are all narrow-body, single-aisle aircraft, A320 Neo family aircraft. So yes, I would like to agree that it may be a lot lower than the amount announced by Air India for the commitment it has made. But like I said, you see, at the end of the day, no one would really know how much IndiGo would actually end up paying for these aircraft because it's just those numbers are never really revealed by the manufacturer or by the airline.
Vinamra, and this is what bears scrutiny. It's the incredible order book which IndiGo already has. On top of that, you go and add 500 aircraft. So they've spelt it out. Today, IndiGo operates over 300 aircraft and has previous orders totaling 480 aircraft, which are yet to be delivered between today and the end of this decade. So there are 480 aircraft before this deal, which are yet to be delivered, and they are meant to be delivered by the end of this decade. With this additional firm order of 500 aircraft by 2030 to 2035, IndiGo's order book has almost 1,000 aircraft yet to be delivered well into the next decade. And this order book comprises a mix of A320 Neo, A321 Neo, and A321 XLR aircraft. So 2 points over here. This is an Indian airline with 1,000 aircraft, order with Airbus, which is It's almost hard to comprehend, but significantly, and this is the second part of my question, they are not investing in a wide-body aircraft as yet. Not so far, at least.
Yes. So you see how it works, Vishnu, is, and I'm sure you're very well aware, but for the benefit of your viewers, you see, when you place an order like this, what you essentially are doing is you're blocking slots on the production line. Now, unlike other commodities which you can buy and have delivered within a short span of time, with aircraft that is not the case. So what IndiGo is doing essentially here is it's making sure that it has supply delivery slots through the next decade. And more importantly, what one must bear in mind is, aircraft, the way aircraft are financed. The vast majority of aircraft operated by IndiGo are sold upon delivery and then leased back by the airline. So this is what is often known in the industry as the Southwest model, which is, of course, I would like to think, pioneered in this part of the world by IndiGo. And they're essentially a sale and leaseback machinery, as my learned colleague Nitin at our firm would call them. So they're very good at arranging financing for these aircraft by way of sale and leaseback. And what they've done rather excellently is they've ensured that they can continue doing this well into the next decade. And the other thing to bear in mind is, not all of these aircraft, 1,000 aircraft or close to 1,000 aircraft, are going to end up in IndiGo's fleet at the same time. The vast majority of them will end up replacing aircraft which will be delivered, which are already operating now, and which will be delivered in the next couple of years. So yes, the fleet will grow. But like I said, the vast majority of them will replace aircraft operating now. Now, to come to your wide-body question, in my opinion, given the A321 XLR and the range the aircraft offers, IndiGo should be able to operate, for instance, from Delhi to as far as Paris or that thereabouts without any payload restrictions per se. London may be pushing it a little bit. And that's where one really does wonder if they would go down the wide-body road at all, because that then means, unlike the arrangement they have with Turkish Airlines right now, whereby these 777 Boeing 777 aircraft are wet leased, so they are essentially damp leased, if I were to be precise. So they are still operated by Turkish, and more importantly, you see, things like insurance, etc., are all taken care of by Turkish Airlines. But when you induct a wide-body fleet, there are substantial costs associated with it. So I'm not sure if IndiGo will go down that road, but you never know.
So, Vinamra, this is essentially the establishment of almost a duopoly in the Indian market. I mean, Air India, 470 aircraft, catering to a premium clientele somewhat more, but also in the same market as IndiGo, both internationally and certainly domestically as well. So Air India on the one hand and IndiGo. So there are smaller airlines like SpiceJet. Go Air has gone bust. Jet shows no signs of emerging. And there are smaller airlines still. But is that the shake-up of the Indian aviation industry we've been talking about for years? Essentially, the contours of this have been identified. Air India and IndiGo, and to an extent SpiceJet, but that's an airline in trouble right now.
Well, I would sort of agree. So Indian aviation and the airline industry vastly, I mean, if one was to describe it in one line, and I've said that before, it would be the Tata Group-backed airlines, IndiGo, and others. Now, among the others, the one to watch out for would be Akasa. Given they have they ordered 72 aircraft, and they've got 19. They're backed by Rakesh Jhunjhunwala and other investors. So they are the ones to watch out for, among others. But yes, I would agree to a great extent that we're heading towards a duopoly, and how this plays out in future from a customer sort of standpoint. I mean, from not just from a passenger experience standpoint, but also from what you and I will end up paying to travel. So all of that, we'll just have to wait and see how it unravels. But to sum it up, momentous day for Indian aviation and for just the confidence that aircraft manufacturers like Airbus and Boeing have in the Indian market. And of course, credit to the team at IndiGo for having built a world-class airline.
Vinamra, two other points, and this is another striking statistic. With this new order, since its inception in 2006, which just seems the other day, IndiGo has ordered a massive total of 1,330 aircraft from Airbus. That's incredible. Now, when 500 aircraft are placed on order, as they have been today, Boeing, the primary competitor, would be very upset that they have missed out on a monster deal in a very competitive market. It's essentially them versus Airbus.
Yes, I mean, I'd agree to some extent. We are a market where Airbus has a strong foothold as far as the narrow body segment is concerned. But you see, I mean, the only wide body aircraft currently operated by Indian Airlines are all Boeing aircraft.
Right.
And I mean, and to be honest, Boeing did manage to sell a substantial number of aircraft, 190, if I'm not wrong, to Air India Express, which will operate, well, which the order, well, there was a commitment made by the Tata Group for these aircraft to operate for Air India Express. And then, of course, there's Akasa. So I guess it's one of those things where you win some and you lose some, and this is long-term play. But like I said, as I'd like to reiterate again, it's just confidence in the Indian market, the Indian consumer, and and also a big thumbs up for people, the management at these airlines, that India has world-class, well-run airlines.
No, it is true. And I think the important point that you mentioned is that it isn't, in fact, entirely a duopoly in the Indian scenario. Akasa is an extremely promising airline, and they do have a large Boeing fleet of 737 MAX aircraft. So it's not quite, by any means, a duopoly at this stage. There's a quote from Peter Elbers, CEO of IndiGo. It is difficult to overstate the significance of IndiGo's new historic order for 500 Airbus A320 family aircraft. An order book now of almost 1,000 aircraft well into the next decade enables IndiGo to fulfill its mission to continue to boost economic growth, social cohesion and mobility in India. At IndiGo, we take pride in being India's preferred airline, etc., etc. Mr. Parvez Damania joins us as well. Thanks, Mr. Damania, very much for being with us. 500 aircraft in a single order from IndiGo. With this, they've got 1,000 aircraft approximately on order. What does this mean for Indian aviation?
No, I think, Vishnu, this is excellent news for Indian aviation. The Indian aviation is growing extremely fast. From January to March 2022 to 2023, there's a growth of 36%. So India really needs a very large fleet of aircrafts. And the way India is growing and the way aviation industry is growing, I'm sure these will be absorbed very fast. And I think it's an excellent growth story for the Indian aviation as well. Plus, you're aware that the new airports are coming up, the new Bombay airport, the new big airport in UP. So I think we need more planes, and Airbus 320 is an exceptionally successful aircraft. This has proven itself the world over. And I think it will be a big boost to IndiGo and to the Indian aviation industry as a whole.
We've got a list price. I don't know if Vinamra is still with us, but Mr. Damania, Vinamra and I were talking about this, and there was no list price in their press release, but Hindustan Times, quoting AFP, says that the deal with a list price of $55 billion is the highest ever civil aviation order. This is what the IndiGo chief, Peter Elbers, has said, and they were quoted by AFP as saying this. So, Mr. Damania, $55 billion, less, of course, than the Air India deal substantially, but that's because they've got a different class of aircraft. But for single-aisle aircraft, this would be the largest aviation deal ever, right?
Absolutely. I don't think anybody has bought these many single-aisle aircrafts at one time. So I think in the category of the aircraft, they've gone for the Airbus 320. This is the largest deal ever. And A320 is a huge success story. It is the main backbone of the Airbus industries. So I think they made the right choice, and this leaves the 737 Boeing far behind in the game right now. So I think India is going to be completely dominated by Airbus, and it's a great aircraft. It has done wonders for IndiGo. It has done wonders for Aviation, Vista. So I think it just adds up to the success story for them further of the Airbus 320.
All right. Well, I'd like to thank you very much, Mr. Damania, for joining us. Just to quickly summarize this, a $55 billion deal for 500 aircraft has been signed between IndiGo and Airbus. It is the largest single deal in aviation history. Let's change that breaking news super to reflect the point that I'm making, that we are talking about Air India's record having been broken. It is a 500 aircraft deal which has been signed by IndiGo at the Paris Air Show. Remarkable news for all of us in Indian aviation. This is quite definitive in terms of what we are seeing. It is an incredibly dynamic market. It's a huge market, among the largest in the world right now. And just look at the amount of money that our airlines are willing to put into this.